Good morning and welcome to this week's Wednesday with Forbes. I hope you all enjoyed your Labor Day weekend. I sure did. It was a good time to rest and rejuvenate after a great start we've had this school year. But today what we're going to do is we're going to visit with Miss Cindy Allen. She is the Curriculum Director for Altus Public Schools, and she's also in charge of all the federal programs. So most of us know quite a bit about curriculum, so we're going to focus on the federal programs and let her kind of just let you all know a lot of the opportunities that we have for students. And we're going to start with homeless. So tell us about the homeless program at Altus Schools.
Well, I'm excited to say that we just received an additional 3-year funding. It was a competitive grant process, and I got all of the money that I asked for, with the exception of $2,000 a year.
Darn good.
So that's $38,000 per year for the next 3 years, which enables us to have Nicole Lamb as the assistant, and she does a fabulous job with reaching out with the schools and the counselors and identifying students who might meet the criteria for homeless.
And what are the criteria?
I
know they're not necessarily someone that just lives on the street necessarily.
Right. They could be unaccompanied youth, which a lot of times they'll show up and they don't have a family member with them, but they may live with someone else. So then we can identify them as unaccompanied youth and doubled up with somebody who may or may not be extended family. We also have students who we classify as doubled up because they live in multiple family homes due to economic reasons and that kind of thing. Sometimes, well, hotel, motel, students who live in hotel, motel, shelter. We don't have a student shelter, a kiddo shelter at this point. We have, I think we still have the domestic abuse shelter.
Okay.
And so anybody in that facility would qualify.
What are some of the ways that we are able to help these kids? Like, I've seen her buy some things.
Right. We can provide school supplies, which includes clothing, shoes, hygiene items. We have been able to get cold weather kits from a company that sends a kit that has things like gloves, a scarf, a blanket. The hygiene kits, we have children hygiene kits that have things like basic things like toothpaste, toothbrush, comb, soap, those kinds of things. And then we move upward for adolescents, and we have extra things like deodorant and things that they might need that are specific to an adolescent for hygiene.
Okay. I know one of the biggest programs that you oversee on the federal side is Title I.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about, I know we're school-wide Title I at all the sites except for the high school, or excuse me, except for Rivers Elementary. So that's a great program. One thing that some of you may not know is Title I, that's how we were, how they determined how much money we received during COVID. We call it COVID money. It's 3 different sets of money that we got, and that was based on the Title I numbers. So tell us a little bit about Title I.
Title I status is based on free and reduced lunches, or those who meet the criteria for free and reduced lunch. And Title I provides additional services. At the elementary sites, we have reading specialists and teacher assistants to help students identify and fulfill gaps in learning. And we have before and after school tutoring at intermediate, junior high, and high school to accommodate those kids who might be athletes. We have what we call Kids Club for the younger kids for after school tutoring. And then we also use some of that money to provide summer school services for our students. Okay,
and it focuses mostly on reading and math.
Summer school?
Title I.
Yes,
yeah,
reading and math.
Reading and math. Awesome. I know also it's very important that we identify as many students that qualify for that for lots of different reasons, lots of different funding. So we've got to have those numbers in place by October 1. So we need everyone helping us identify all the different students that we're talking about today, so that we can get more funding and be able to help kids in more ways. EL students, let's just talk about it. EL, immigrant, and migrant, what
some of our
distinguishes the 3 different ones.
Special student groups, I think, is what I don't know if that's the term they call them or not, but our EL students are English learners. That means that their first language was not English, and most of ours have Spanish as their second language, and some are
their first language.
As first language, sorry. And we have students from Guatemala. We've had students from various places. And the way we provide support for those students is we have teacher assistants in most buildings, and we kind of follow the the number as to, and I'm trying to add an EL assistant at early childhood so that those kids, because those people work on language acquisition.
Okay.
Because they can't learn to read if they can't learn to speak the language, and it means nothing to them. We have supports that we put in place for those kiddos that provide after-school tutoring. We also have purchased the translators that I think maybe back in the day we did a
Wednesday at Forbes probably 2 or 3 years ago.
And those have been a game changer.
Yeah, and if those of you that don't know, it's where the teacher wears a microphone.
It's like an earbud.
And then the student does, and the teacher speaks in English, and the student hears it in their language, right, and vice versa.
And it's really cool, and it has been a game changer. When we first did that, one of our Spanish students was able to talk to a peer in class, and I happened to know the mother, and the mother came and said that she was so excited and the kiddo was so excited because that's the first time he had been able to have a conversation with someone his own age and they understood him.
That's awesome.
So it's really a cool thing. One of our teachers in the district, I believe, I'm just gonna give a shout out to Alex Cole, found them. She saw it on a news show and she sent it to me. And I sent it to Lana Mowdy and I said, I want these. Find these, let's do this.
Absolutely.
And we went and visited a school that used them. And then we're still purchasing more. We have some at every site if they need them.
That's great. So we have EL, talked about immigrant and migrant.
Immigrant kiddos are those who come in from another country. They were not born in the United States, and we can classify them as immigrants if they have been in an American school 3 years or less. And some of our kids, which is interesting, from Rivers even qualify because they were born overseas. So they qualify as immigrants. And all of these subgroups, they have some special funds, but they're all also served with Title I funds. That kind of takes up the slack for some of the other money that might not be as much. We have funds in Title I that provide school supplies and innovative things that the teachers want to use.
Right.
So that's how we've been able to buy things like some of the smart boards and some of those other things that ordinarily we might not have purchased.
So what's the definition of a migrant student?
A migrant student is the family comes to a location for work, and when that work is finished, they migrate to another place for work. So they're just kind of like traveling where the work is.
Okay, awesome. Gifted and talented, that's another big one. What's the difference in a gifted student and a talented student?
Okay, gifted is an academic giftedness, if you put it that way. Talented is a visually talented student, which are our art students that we start identifying in the 3rd grade. And I think that we have a new gifted art teacher this year, Stacy Cox, and she has been very busy testing students. And we do let them know that all of these students need to be tested, if possible, before October 1, so we can get all of those special populations identified in our student information system.
Right, awesome. And then RSA.
RSA is the Reading Sufficiency Act, which encompasses pre-K to 3, and that's the one where the caveat is that you have to be on 3rd grade reading level before you are promoted to the 4th grade. And again, we use all of the other programs. It's almost like a collaboration of programs to where our Title I teachers help provide supplemental services. We do a reading sufficiency summer school for 3rd graders who may have not met the benchmark and give them an additional opportunity to pass the 3rd grade after they test before they go in May, and then we test them at the end in June, and they do intensive remediation and make it fun to where it's like they're invited to summer school. They don't have to go. Yes. We choose to invite them. That's a better method, I think, to do.
Right.
But we have some pass the test every year and some don't, and then those students are retained.
Awesome. Well, thank you for all you do, because I know these are all federal dollars, and to get federal dollars, which we get in the millions of dollars in federal money, so Altus Public Schools really relies on that funding that we get. But there's lots of paperwork, lots of buying and reclaiming the money, and I know you do that very well. You're very frugal. Very much appreciate that. Again, we need your all help for any of these categories of students that we may have. We want to make sure that we count every single student so we can get every single dollar that we can that will help them in their programs. Well, tomorrow is Bulldog Friday on a Thursday, since we played Thursday, so good luck to the Bulldogs as we traveled a lot and play Eisenhower. And as always, may God continue to bless Altus Public Schools.